Praise be to Jesus. Today we continue our second session on managing our emotion of anger. Let's do a review what we heard last time. Last time we saw what anger was, and we also saw the purpose why God has given us the emotion of anger. We saw that God gave us the emotion of anger for two specific purposes. First, to correct a wrong. Second, to get justice done. We also saw that anger is an energized emotion. It's neither good, it's neither bad. It's what we do with our anger that makes it good or bad. We also started looking at three ways all of us express our anger. And last time we saw two specific ways in which all of us express our anger. We saw that the first way we express our anger is we are spewers. We spew our anger. Spewers are people who explode, who erupt when they get angry. They are not able to control their anger. And we saw why a spewer acts like that. The spewer basically acts like that because there is a message that is going on in the spewer's mind. And the message is this: anger is necessary. We also looked at 10 questions which will help us to know if I have the style of a spewer to express my anger. We also saw that what a spewer needs to do, that a spewer needs to control his anger or her anger. The second way we express anger was the stuffer. A stuffer is a one who does not express his anger because he feels anger is wrong. And so a stuffer will stuff his anger. We see why a stuffer stuffs the anger, does not express it in the right manner. A stuffer does that because he or she fears rejection, either rejection from people or sometimes even rejection from God. They feel if they express their anger, God would be upset with them. God would not be happy with them. And we also looked at what a stuffer needs to do. A stuffer needs to learn healthy ways of expressing their anger. We also saw 10 questions to know whether I have the style of stuffing my anger. Today we start with the third way all of us express anger. And the third way all of us express our anger is we are leakers. We leak out our anger. Let's define who is a leaker. A leaker is a person who is angry. They have same fears and beliefs like the stuffers. So leaker is a person who is also angry, but they have the same beliefs and fears like the stuffers. So they take that anger and keep leaking at the person who made them angry. So what these leakers do? They take that anger and they keep leaking. It's like leakers will remain angry for days together, and they will keep on leaking their anger little by little in the next few days, or perhaps in the next few weeks also. God bless you if you are blessed with a leaker in our life. Okay? And how do they do that? So they keep on leaking the anger at the person who made them angry through sarcasm, through negativity, through procrastination, and through critical remarks. So that's what a leaker does. He becomes a sarcastic person. For the next few days, the person will be sarcastic. The person will be negative. The person will keep on making critical remarks here and there. So a leaker is a person who remains in his anger for a period of time. And the person, remember, a stuffer does not show his anger at all. A leaker is the one who keeps on leaking his anger through critical remarks, through negativity, through sarcasm. Little by little, they keep on giving in as if in installments they are giving you. Okay? In installments, they are giving you little by little for days and sometimes for a week. I hope so it's not lifelong. Okay? What are the types of leaker? There are two types of leaker. Number one, direct. They are very aggressive. They keep on remaining aggressive. And indirect. They are passive. They will be passive leakers are the ones who will show that they are very calm and they are very cool, but you can gauge that they are angry. Behind that calmness, behind that coolness is an anger. What is the message that is going on in the leaker's mind? Why does a leaker act like that? Okay, that is not expressing his or her anger at once for all, but keeps on showing the anger little by little by little. Why does a leaker act like that? Because there is some message going on in the leaker's mind. Let's understand what is the message basically going on in the leaker's mind. And this is the message that is going on in the leaker's mind. The leaker's mind thinks anger is not bad. Okay, anger is not bad. Showing anger is bad. For a stuffer, how the leaker is different from a stuffer? A stuffer, both the things. Anger is also bad. Showing anger is also bad. So for a leaker thinks anger is not bad. Showing anger is bad. But they are angry. So they can't show it all at a time. If they show it all at a time, they feel, oh, I've shown it and this was pretty bad stuff. So they will remain in that anger and they will start showing it little by little so that they don't feel guilty about it. Funny, very funny. Okay. Why are they afraid to show their anger? Why are they afraid to show their anger? There are some of the reasons why a leaker is afraid to show their anger. The first reason is this. They think anger is bad and sinful. That is what they think. Anger is bad and sinful. Second, they fear loss of control. They feel that if they show their anger and if they get angry, they may lose control over themselves. A leaker also fears rejection. Sometimes a leaker is not showing the anger all at one time because the person is saying, if I show it all at once, maybe I will be rejected by people. They fear God's wrath. They also think, like stuffers, that God will be upset with them if they show their anger once and for all. They fear retaliation, same like the stuffer. Okay, they fear that there will be retaliation, the consequences or outcome will not be as good, and that's why they decide to show their anger little by little. They don't want to feel guilty. So they don't want to go through a guilt. Remember, they don't feel guilty in showing the anger little by little because then for them it's like a venial sin, little sin. But if they show their anger once and for all, for them it's a big sin. So they don't want to feel guilty. The points of the leaker are same as stuffers. But how they are different? They are different in the following ways. Leakers don't follow on their commitments and promises. You'll find that, they don't follow on their commitments and promises. Their yes is not yes and their no is not no. They will keep making excuses and they will keep procrastinating. That's what a leaker does. Now let's look at what are the results. When a leaker gets angry, what are some of the results that we can see? What are some of the outcomes we see? The results are this. First, they develop a false, unhealthy sense of power. The leaker feels that little by little, if he's showing or she's showing her anger, they have a false sense of power. I'm in control. You see, I'm still in control. I'm keeping the person in his or her place. They aggravate those around them. It happens. We sometimes feel if someone has got something against us, and say it once and for all. But if the person is showing that and throwing it on us little by little on a daily basis, we may get agitated. Okay, we may get upset over that. So they will aggravate those around them. They become negative and critical. Since a leaker chooses to remain in his or her anger for quite a long time, you will find that they are getting negative. Their moods are, just imagine you are remaining in your anger for days together and leaking it out at the person. You won't be happy. All the time throughout the day you are thinking about the person who has hurt you. So they become negative and critical. They will put strain on relationship and they will weaken the relationship. Anyone who's staying with a leaker and he or she sees the behavior of the leaker, that the leaker is the one who is constantly remains in anger and keeps on nagging, keeps on criticizing, keeps on being negative. There is a lot of strain one experiences when they are staying with a leaker, and it weakens the relationship. The people who are staying with a leaker, slowly they start losing their love, they start losing their respect for the leaker. So that's what happens. And ultimately, another result in a leaker's life is they become isolated. They become isolated. They don't want to be among people because they start feeling all people are bad. They become isolated. They become sarcastic. They will withdraw. They start withdrawing from people. I don't want to be with people. All people are bad. And avoid issues. The leaker won't like to discuss the issues. So these are some of the results that a leaker faces when he or she decides to express their anger in a leaking manner. Let's look at what the leaker needs to do. Okay, what a spewer needs to do. We saw a spewer needs to learn to control their anger. What a stuffer needs to do. A stuffer needs to learn healthy ways of expressing anger. Now, what a leaker needs to know and what a leaker needs to do. A leaker needs to know that anger is okay and anger is normal. It's okay to feel angry. It's normal to feel angry. And they must learn effective, like a stuffer, they must learn effective ways to communicate their anger. They must learn effective ways to express their anger. A leaker must also learn to mean what they say. They must mean what they say. Sometimes, because they are leaking their anger little by little over a period of time, they mean one thing and they say one thing. They are not coming to the point. They are not directly saying, I was hurt and I did not like this. Okay? They forget that people can read their minds. People can know, you are still upset. You are still angry. They need clarity. A leaker also needs clarity because the leaker keeps on expressing anger little by little. They need clarity on what they should say, what they should not say, what they should do with their anger, what they should not do with their anger. So this is something a leaker needs to sit behind, think, and perhaps say, I'm going to express my anger, but now what should I be saying and what I should not say, what I should do and what I should not do. A leaker needs clarity in this. So once again, okay, here are 10 questions. 10 questions to know if my style of anger, if I have a leaker style of expressing my anger. So 10 questions, like stuffers we saw, spewers we saw. Now here are 10 questions to know if I am a leaker. So as you are hearing these questions, remember you have to answer yes or no. Don't think about it. Just read, and if what you understand, say yes or no. And if you get 5 yeses, 5 or more yeses, then my style of expressing anger is a leaker's style. So here is the first question. Question number 1. When I am frustrated, I become silent, knowing that it bothers other people. So when I am frustrated, I become silent. Why I am becoming silent? Because I know now it will bother and I want that other person to feel guilty. I want to bother that other person. So when I am frustrated, I become silent, knowing that it bothers other people. Yes or no? I am prone to suck and to proud. I am prone to suck and to proud. When I don't want to do a project, I will procrastinate. If there is something I don't need to do, I'll keep on delaying it. When someone will ask me whether I am frustrated, I will lie and say no. If someone says, brother, are you frustrated? Are you angry? No, not at all. So that's what I'll do when someone will ask me. 5th question. There are times when I deliberately avoid. There are times when I'm deliberately evasive so that others won't bother me. There are times when I deliberately avoid people because I don't want them to bother me. So that's what a leaker does. Yes or no? 6th question. I sometimes approach work projects half-heartedly. Okay, my whole heart is not in my project. That's one of the things we must learn. That whatever we do, Colossians chapter 3 verse 17 says, whatever we do, we must do it with all our hearts. Okay, all our hearts. And so what a leaker will do? He will approach the project half-heartedly. When someone asks me about my problems, I steer ahead, becoming deliberately obstinate. When someone asks me about my problem, I steer ahead, become deliberately obstinate. Yes or no? I am often sarcastic and hide my hurts behind my joke. So I may be a very jovial person and I'm cracking a lot of jokes, but in that joke there is a kind of a sarcasm where I want to hit someone. I'm sarcastic, okay, and hide my hurts behind my joke. Ninth, I withdraw affection when I'm hurt. When I'm hurt, I stop showing affection to people who are close to me. Yes or no? 10th question, I forget to do things for people when they hurt me or when they wound me. I forget to do things for them. Suppose if I'm a housewife or I'm a spouse, if my spouse hurts me, I won't do any work at home. I go on a hartal. Okay, so I will not do any work at home. So looking at these 10 questions, let's ask ourselves, if you have got 5 yeses, and I hope so you are counting your yes, then my style of expressing anger is a leaker's style. Okay, so that's what my style of expressing my anger is. Now, as we have heard all this, there are some questions I want to give you for reflection before we go into the next part of why we feel angry. Three main reasons why we feel angry. Okay, so before we get into that part, let me give you some questions for reflections. Number 1, what makes me angry? What makes me angry? Okay, so that's the first question I need to reflect and ask myself. Second, when and where it's okay to feel angry. Which are the situations? We saw why God gave us the emotion of anger. So when and where it's okay to feel angry. The third question, in what ways do I tend to misuse my anger? What are some of the ways I tend to misuse my anger? The fourth question for reflection for all of us, for reflection is this: which anger mask do I wear when I am angry? Which anger mask do I wear when I am angry? For example, as I give you the example of that person who I met in the prayer meeting, he says, at home, I am a spewer. I blast. I erupt. Okay? I'm like a time bomb at home. I don't spare anyone when I get angry at home. In the office, I'm a stuffer. And the reason is, I can't express my anger on my boss. Otherwise, there may be retaliation. There may be some consequences. And with my friends, I'm a leaker. So let's find out ways of express. How do I tend to express my anger most of the time? There may be one style of expressing anger that I use perhaps most of the time. So I need to become aware. The fifth question. Now, on all that we have heard up till now, okay, the fifth question is related to that. What one insight did I receive about anger? Okay, what one insight have I received about anger? And what is that insight? Will you just put it down? Will you just say it in a line? What insight did you learn about anger? Okay, can you define that insight? It needs to be defined. That this is what I learned about anger. Just we say in one line. So we looked at 3 ways we all express anger. Let's take time to reflect on these questions. Okay. After this session, I will ask you to sit with yourself, reflect on this question. Remember, anger has the power to destroy our relationships if we don't learn proper ways to express our anger. So as we have reflected over these questions on what anger is and why we feel our anger, what are the various ways we express our anger, and what one insight I have gained on the emotion of anger that I can apply to my life, let's go to the next part of the teaching. Why we feel angry. Here we will look at top 3 reasons why we feel angry. Psychiatrists tell us that anger is a secondary emotion. What does it mean when it says it is a secondary emotion? It means actually there is some other problem we are going through. There is some other emotion we are experiencing at that time and we are not able to handle that particular emotion. We will look at 3 emotions that we are maybe experiencing at that particular time. So we are not able to handle that emotion and so we resort to anger. Anger is like a warning light. Those of us who have a car, sometimes you may see that the car may start giving the warning light. What does the warning light tell us? It tells us there is something wrong inside the car. There is something that is not going well. Now which of us, after we hear the warning light, will get out and take a hammer and hit the warning light and break it because it's making noise? We won't do that. And the reason we won't do that is because we know that the warning light is telling us there is some other problem happening on the inside. It is the same way with anger. Anger tells us there is something else that we need to deal with. But anger artificially makes us feel in control when we feel out of control. Instead of dealing with what the real problem is, we resort to anger. Why? The other problem is making us feel that we are out of control, that we are not able to control this. But anger artificially, this is what the psychiatrists say, artificially makes us feel in control when we feel out of control. Psychologists give us a number of reasons why we may get angry, and I'm going to go through it a little faster. But we will look at top 3 reasons. But let's look at the number of reasons we get angry. Hurt, guilt, shame, powerlessness, betrayal, insecurity, rejection. We feel trapped, we feel hopeless, we feel helpless, unmet expectations, resentment, jealousy, pride, low self-esteem, feelings of failures and worthlessness, loneliness, depression, anxiety, stress. Sometimes we are stressed out or under pressure, remorse, or we may be experiencing physical exertion, or we are exhausted and we are experiencing fatigue. These are the number of reasons which psychiatrists tell us for which we get angry. Let's look at top 3 reasons. Sorry. And here are the top 3 reasons we feel angry. So let me first mention to you, then we go in detail. The first reason we feel angry is because of hurt. The second reason we feel angry is because of frustration. And the third top reason we feel angry is because of insecurity. Let's have a look at all of them. The first top reason we all feel angry is because of hurt. What is hurt? Hurt is unmet need. Unmet need. We all have emotional needs. And when our emotional needs are not met in a particular situation, okay, we have an emotional need to be loved, to be accepted, to feel worthy, to be appreciated, to be admired, okay, to be pampered. So we all have emotional needs, and when these emotional needs are not met, we experience hurt. That's why when we feel hurt, one of the right questions to ask is, what, in order to understand ourselves, okay, this is just to understand ourselves, and this understanding may perhaps decrease the intensity of hurt. It won't take away the feeling of hurt, but it may decrease the intensity of hurt. So that's why the right question to ask is, what emotional need I had in this situation which was not met? What emotional need I had in this situation which was not met. Now sometimes the emotional need can be real, like you want the support of your spouse in a difficult situation, a real emotional need, or sometimes it can be a perceived need. What is a perceived need? Perceived need is when I think that this particular thing will actually make me feel, fill in the blanks. It may make me feel worthy. It may make me feel good. This particular thing. Let me give an example. We all work hard and sometimes the promotion goes to someone else and we may feel hurt at that particular time. But though the promotion has got to someone else, the boss and the company has still appreciated our hard work. They have appreciated our hard work. But we don't like that appreciation. Why? For us, appreciation is equal to promotion. Not the appreciation that the boss or the company has given us. But for us, we have a perception, we have a perceived need that appreciation is equal to promotion. And that's why when I never got that promotion, I may feel hurt. I may feel angry. It happens when we feel. Hurt happens when we feel that job, that affection, that promotion, that credit that you should have got, someone else has got. So that's the time we feel hurt, unmet need, real or perceived. Proverbs chapter 19 verse 3 it says, it is very difficult to take responsibility and it's very easy to blame. That's why in anger we start blaming people. Blame this one, blame that one. Sorry. Very easy to blame, very difficult to take responsibility. Proverbs chapter 27 verse 4 tells us that jealousy is rooted in the fear of losing something or someone. And that's why sometimes we may feel hurt. We find this in Genesis chapter 37 verse 4 that when Jacob is showing favor to his youngest son Joseph, the other brothers are feeling hurt because they felt that they should be treated equally, that they were also worthy perhaps of their father's love. But the father here was pouring all his love on Joseph. Jacob was pouring all his love on Joseph, and the other brothers were getting hurt in return. So the first top reason we feel angry is when we feel hurt. That's why it's sometimes very nice to put our hurt in a proper sentence. And I'm going to give you a sentence that sometimes we can tell our spouse, tell people who are close to us, and in order to help us understand our hurt and in order to help them understand us. Okay, in order to help us to understand our hurt and in order to help them to understand us. And this is what we can tell them. I feel hurt, I feel sad when you, or I feel mad when you. Put it. What do they do? What do they say that makes you feel sad, makes you feel mad? I feel disappointed when you. It's very nice to frame it up and express it to our family members or to our close friends. Sometimes you can say, example, I feel hurt when you forgot dash dash dash. Okay, so that's how we can understand our hurt. And this increases the intensity of hurt. It doesn't take away the hurt, but the intensity of hurt is decreased when we put it in words. And we make the other person also aware that that really hurts us. The next thing why we feel angry, the next reason why we feel angry is frustration. What is frustration? Frustration is real or perceived unmet expectations. Real or perceived unmet expectations. Now we all have expectations. We have expectations of our spouse, what they should be like, what they should do, what they should not do. We have expectation of our boss, what they should do, what they should not do. We have expectations of our children, how they should behave, what they should do, what they should not do. You see, we have expectations about life, and sometimes we have expectations from God, that this is what God should do in our life and this is what God should not do in our life. What happens when our expectations are not met? We feel hurt, we feel angry, we feel frustrated. That's what happens to us when our expectations are not met. We experience the emotion of frustration, or in another word, disappointment. That's why one of the nice things to ask ourselves is, in fact, I did a session on handling disappointment with a few prayer groups, and I was explaining to them how we need to understand disappointment. That one of the good questions we can ask ourselves when we feel disappointed or when we feel frustrated, we can ask ourselves, what expectations I had from this person, what expectations I had from this situation, that those expectations were not met. And the second question we can ask is, how genuine those expectations are, how genuine they are. Sometimes we are expecting too much, or we are expecting what another person just cannot be. Another person can't fulfill that expectation. And so we may get disappointed. In 1 Chronicles chapter 15, we have the story of David when he was bringing the Ark of the Covenant. He was dancing. And the way he danced, all his clothes came off. And still, he was so crazy for the Lord. We sing that song, I will dance as David danced. So, when David was dancing, all his clothes came off. And still, he was so engrossed in dancing in the presence of the Lord. But when his wife saw that, she was frustrated. When David came back home, she, in other words, in her language, she gave him good. She said, it doesn't befit you. And she started removing her frustrations on David when he came home. Now, if you look at the story, what expectation she had? She tells David, it doesn't befit a king to dance like that. She's telling David, you are a king. And she had an expectation in her mind what a king should do in a situation like that. When those expectations were not met, she experiences frustration, and when David comes home, she removes the frustration on David. That's why we need to watch out whether our expectations are expectations or whether our expectations have turned into demands. It is good to have expectations, nothing wrong. I'm not saying here we should not have expectations. Okay? We can have expectations from our spouse. We can have expectations from our children. We can have expectations in our workplace. It is good. But the problem is we don't know when our expectations have turned into demands. Because expectations means, it may happen. I'm expecting. It may happen. It may not happen. When it turns into a demand, we say it should happen. And now perhaps we may be headed for frustration. The next time when we experience any kind of frustration or disappointment, we can ask ourselves, what expectation I had in this situation from this person that was not met, because of which I am experiencing this frustration. It's also time, if we are constantly getting angry in our homes, if we are constantly getting angry in our workplace, in some relationships, it's time to look at what am I expecting from this person with whom I'm getting angry again and again. What am I expecting in this situation that I'm losing my cool again and again? It's time to look at that and adjust our expectations. God bless you all. In the next session, we will continue at the third top reason why we get angry, and we will also look at the most important part of this teaching, how to deal with the emotion of anger. And I hope to see each and every one of you for that session. God bless you.
I'm Saint Lawrence. If you want to grow spiritually and know more about Jesus and His teachings, please subscribe to the channel.
I'm Saint Bonaventure, and if you enjoyed and learned something new, then please press the like button.
I'm Saint Philomena, and I want you to please share this video with your family, friends, and all your WhatsApp groups.
I am St. Thomas of Villanova, and I want you all to comment a word or a scripture touch you the most watching this video.
Hi friends, I am Saint Monica, and today I want to encourage you all to press the bell icon mentioned here below in order to get notified about every new spiritual content on this channel.
Stay safe,
Stay blessed, stay connected.